What is causing your friend to remain single that you don't have the heart to tell them? He really is not as nice of a person as he thinks he is. He keeps hanging on to the past and spending all his time hanging out with ex-girlfriends who are unavailable, or women who like him but he doesn't romantically like. Brother-in-law, not friend. But he makes the same jokes about poop and farts all the time. Like, constantly. Yes, some women like potty humor, but they usually also want it to be funny. He is also very negative, finds insult or something wrong with any situation. He lies to himself about almost everything. He lives in fantasy land. He thinks he's in the gym 5 days a week, eats great, climbs mountains, goes camping, makes loads of money. Reality, pub 5 days a week, overeats like shite, went on one hike in January, can't hold a job and lives paycheck to paycheck. If you were to confront him with this reality, it wouldn't even get through to him. I can smell them. Everyone can smell them. The people they like aren't real. They are idealized, cartoonish caricatures. Now my friend himself has a lot to offer Imo, but he is looking for a person that doesn't exist. Hard to find something that's not there. She is so lovely. So kind, so generous, and so beautiful. But her crippling lack of self-esteem is so huge it's visible from space, and her anxiety, and I'm 99% sure her undiagnosed ADHD, means that when she's at all nervous she talks at 100 miles an hour in several directions at once. It's like being handed 8 happy Labrador puppies to try and hold in your arms. I so badly want her to be happy and feel fulfilled, but even I find it tiring sometimes. Not really my friend, but an old community choir director who I became friends with on Facebook. I noticed this about 10 years ago and I don't know if anything's changed since then. His FB account has been silent for years. He was in his 40s and an attractive, charming, talented man in real life, but he only internet dated, and I don't think that was really the norm among his age group yet. His frequent social media posts were about 1/3 music stuff and 2/3 RDS complaints, mostly about dating. From what I could tell, it sounded like he got a good number of matches, they just never stuck around. He'd post articles that talked about the positives of internet dating and then complain about how they were all wrong, complain about specific women he'd dated. Granted, he wouldn't name names, his job, co-workers, you name it, he complained about it. So basically, he used Facebook like Reddit, except Facebook isn't anonymous, so you could easily match it to him. One thing he often complained about was women talking to him on eHarmony or whatever for a day or two, and then suddenly saying they didn't want to talk anymore or just going radio silent. I have no proof of this, but I'd be willing to bet a lot of money that many of these women Googled him like you're supposed to when internet dating, found all of his bitching, and ran away. God knows I would if I came across that. They talk way too much. Even during texting, my friend is sending paragraphs to women he just met. I really need to hear what my friends would say about me. He is needy and clingy. Also, he moves around a lot and has been in college for the last 15 years. There is a lot going on. Alcoholism. The type of guys she claims she likes isn't what she's actually attracted to. She keeps saying how much she loves shy, introverted, sensitive guys, but when she finds one and dates him, suddenly he's not outgoing enough, doesn't speak his mind enough, and is too shy. I kind of think she has this "I can fix him" syndrome and doesn't really acknowledge it. Like, she's attracted to the idea of a typical shy guy but thinks once they're in a relationship they'll suddenly be more open and turn into the guy she actually wants. That's not how it works. It's not his height. It's his obsession with it. Horrid halitosis. It actually has been brought up before, but he never does anything about it. Edit, I'm fairly certain that he has gingivitis. His gums are blood red and bleed easily. I've told him he probably has gum disease, but he insisted that he has someone in the family who's a dentist and told him he doesn't have it. Her standards are excessively too high. She brings nothing to a relationship. She's a walking contradiction, all of which is why she is single. I think it's great to have standards and high standards, but hers is just a checklist of wants. Desperation. From laughing way too hard at mediocre jokes to bringing up marriage on the first date, she reeks of it. We have all tried talking to her about it to no avail. The sad thing is that if she was just her regular funny, smart, relaxed self, then men would be falling over themselves trying to get her number. He is just too Catholic. He wants this perfect trophy girlfriend that has to be a virgin. The problem is that he also likes to drink too much alcohol, and it's always his way or no way. The girls that he meets are not interested in him, had boyfriends in the past, don't like his lifestyle or ideologies of a relationship. He wants all the kids God provides. Lack of interests. He just is a boring person. He does some things that he started to sew when he was a kid. But just because it is something regular. Like playing tennis with his dad once a week. There is no development, and you cannot get him to do anything he's not used to. Really anything. He has no stories to tell and basically no life. There is no way to connect to him, and I am losing connection just because we cannot exchange about new things, and we talked about the old stuff for 20 plus years now. He's just a kid getting older. She's really overdue for growing up and learning to self-reflect. She really needs to finally grow and allow herself to change. She's pretty, she's funny, she's a great time to go out with. Never a dull moment. She's also not changed much at all since we were teens. She is a mess. Doesn't clean, doesn't cook, can't hold down a job, paycheck to paycheck, prioritizes a good time over everything else, extremely unstable overall. No accountability for how her actions affect her own life and especially the lives of others. Somehow still has high expectations of her potential partners, but she doesn't bring much to the table and doesn't seem to ever hold herself to the same standards or rules. Sometimes you really do need to slow down and get a grip on your mental health and your life in general first before actively seeking out relationships. I've watched her wreck so many people that had good intentions for her without ever even recognizing how she hurt them. She has a long way to go in therapy before she'll be able to maintain a healthy long-term relationship. If I did mention it, I'd be attacking her and gaslighting, so I'll let her work on her more pressing mental health issues for now. Overly loud and party boyish at age 45. She's a beautiful girl, like seriously one of the most beautiful women I've ever seen in real life, but she needs constant validation. No man on the planet can give her the validation she requires. I always wondered why she couldn't get a date because she is gorgeous, until I saw her flirting with someone. First night they met, flirted, swapped numbers. Then, immediately clingy. Talking in baby voice to him and making baby noises. He made a completely inoffensive comment which she found offensive, and threatened to slap him. Not shocking at all when he never called. Very on-off hygiene. Some days they smell normal and I'm assuming that's their shower day, but then the smell just gets worse and worse until they shower daily for 2 to 3 days and then it's just a repeating cycle. He's had multiple partners give him the pet name Stinky. I guess it was cute for them until it wasn't. For my husband's friend it's the selfish arrogance. I want what I want, and the subtext was that he never cared about what his girlfriend wanted. He would only go places he wanted to go, which never included her friends or family. He wanted to spend all his money on collectibles related to sci-fi movies, DVDs, figurines, etc. Engagement rings were a waste of money, investing, or buying a house ditto. No compromises were possible, he said no, and no discussions were entertained. His opinion on every topic was the correct one, and he was not interested in your opinion, or listening to extra facts he did not know that might change his mind. He was once young and good looking, and he thought he could find someone else when she walked when he was 32. They had dated for close to a decade. During the relationship he had started to stack on the weight and losing his hair, and he was not able to find a replacement. Now he is 49, and hasn't had a girlfriend since. He still has not bought a house, and they cost double what they did when they were dating, and his rent has tripled. He does have a copy of all his favorite movies on every format, VHS, DVD, and Blu-ray. A whole bedroom is dedicated to storing them, if you can get in there. His house is a hoarder's paradise. He says the reason no one wants him is because he is fat and bald, and it does not help, but it's not the major turn-off. She's too needy and clingy and doesn't bring much to the table, impulsive, alcoholic, body image issues. Even guys that are super into her run away after a few dates because of how needy she gets. She realizes it's something she's doing but doesn't understand why. She finally got into a long-term relationship with a great guy who was really into her but broke it off recently because she demanded they get engaged ASAP and would scream and break dishes due to how upset she was over it. Sad thing was he totally would have, and he was great for her, but she can be difficult to handle. He's convinced women won't like him because he's short. I keep telling him I know plenty of guys just as short as him in great relationships. I've dated guys as short as him in the past. He just refuses to believe it. Summarizing 2 types of my single friends. Super successful, smart, funny, and good looking. They also tend to go for folks who leave them on read for days. Their insecurities are their worst enemies, and I think is the biggest factor of them chasing after partners who don't want to be partners. Other friends don't know how to commit to anything, including a job. It almost feels like a "it'll happen when it happens" type of ideology, and so they don't even try to make things happen. They act like things will happen on their own. So they'll meet a person and then that's it. Meet cute dead in the water. He keeps dating the crazy women. Like the kind that key your car if you haven't texted them within the hour. She thinks she is the best catch: education, height, natural beauty, job, and her own money. However, there is nothing attractive about her and her personality. She doesn't dress up/spend on herself, talks highly about herself and her career, judges others, not just men but her own friends, on what they earn or how much money they have. I have 2, though one of them is my older sister. First one, the guy is frankly too stubborn, and refuses to listen. They also don't make good conversation and have no aspirations to do anything at all. Second one is my older sister. Absolute sweetheart, brilliant, and kind, but almost to a fault. She's too much of a pushover. And she's also a huge clinger, calling and texting to the point of annoyance, and will legitimately get mad if you don't respond within 2 seconds. Also, she requires a lot of validation. I have a friend who constantly attaches herself to the worst men possible, gets treated like trash, and then reaches out to us for rescue. We tell her every time that the men she are seeing are horrible. Nice guys are always labeled as boring, or she finds an excuse not to be interested. He has dinner with his mother 2 to 3 times a week. I'm not dating a mama's boy. But the guy who ditched her at a concert twice? He's alright. At this point I'm convinced she just likes being rescued. His standards are unrealistic. He's a 4 or 5 on a good day but is only interested in women if they're an 8 or higher. He's also very overweight, but constantly points out women's weight on dating apps and how it's a deal breaker if they look to be anything above a US 5. I didn't realize all of this was to such an extreme until myself and the rest of his friends' wives sat down and went through dating profiles of different women who liked his profile just for him to continuously criticize their appearance for such mundane reasons. We were trying to give him advice on how to talk to women, per his request, and it became blatantly obvious to all of us why he was struggling. It completely changed my opinion of him. He is not really emphatic and a bit self-centered, not in a mean narcissistic way. 90% of the time he talks about himself. He is not someone to change his own views, he is always right. Not so much into finding a compromise. The other one is a really nice guy, but he is really exhausting. Everything is totally over the top. If he met someone he is total freaking in love, and after a few dates, not anymore. I told him he should go for the women who doesn't make him crazy in love but more like chill in love. And he cannot shut up? Never. I'm the single friend. Instead of communicating, she has a short temper and throws a passive-aggressive attitude when someone disagrees with her. It could be the most minor issue and she needs to make sure her voice is the most dominant in the conversation. As her friend, I try to keep my opinions neutral and felt like I've walked on eggshells with her for close to a decade. She was never problematic to me until recently, when she has shown me a side to her that I think led to her recent breakup and why she has issues with men long term. I think deep down inside she's very self-centered and very influenced by the videos she watches on TikTok and IG about how a man should know how to love you and take care of you naturally. Her standards are unrealistic and it's hard to listen to her perspective of what a man/relationship should be like nowadays. Every new boyfriend is the baby's new daddy. For a few months. Then she cheats on them with older men at her plant job, practically brags about it to my sister, then wonders why nobody has anything to do with her daughter, which pisses me off the most because she's so precious, but her mom's absolutely deranged when it comes to her love life. Doesn't help the men she fucks typically are married /teenage children and the wives usually try to beat her ass afterwards, expressionless face. Literally have no hope for her. She thinks life is a Taylor Swift song. Also she needs to understand that she can't expect guys she likes to notice her and talk to her first. She's like, if he doesn't talk to me first then it's because he's not the right one, like girl, he doesn't even know you exist. Her standards are absolutely, ridiculously unrealistic standards. Wants a 10 to come sweep her off her feet with vacations and jewelry and gifts and romance, but she's an unstable, insecure, obese woman who doesn't want to work on herself or see anything wrong with abandoning her 2 autistic children to chase men who don't want her. So sad. I had to distance myself.